boy. There have been several recent incidents involving our children, and unfortunately, fatally so. So this brings to light the need for us to better protect our children. So Chief Executive Officer with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, Rosalee Gage-Grey, joins us for this discussion. Morning, Mrs. Gage-Grey. How are you doing?
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
We're good.
Give
We're
thanks.
good.
What Delia just said, because we heard of a youngster found unresponsive, a 1-year-old who fell off the bed. We had a couple of 3-year-olds who died in fire. When you hear these things, and it's not necessarily because the adults are not paying attention necessarily, when you hear these things, what does it make you feel, though?
I think it's we have mixed feelings about it. We obviously, because we are the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, when a child is hurt, then we, have to respond to those situations and really feel sad that we are losing our young children. On the other hand, it tells us that we need more information for our parents in terms of them supervising and giving proper supervision. It's a reason why it's called an accident or a mishap, because in a split second, and if you have young children, even if you are there in a split second, something can happen. And so we encourage parents to always be vigilant. Do not leave the children alone for a second. It might, we know people are busy and you have your activities. Yes, but that's when something happens because they are curious, they are going to touch things, they are going to just play in things. So we are saying, do not leave the children alone.
Yeah.
There is need for absolute, especially for the younger ones. The other thing we're saying, do not leave older siblings with the children. Or older siblings, teenagers, they are on their gadgets, they are distracted, and will not give proper supervision. And that's what we're saying to our parents. We're also saying to the community that we have to get back to that village, that all of us looks out for the children. We had a mantra before that says, every child is my child. And so if we see something, hear something, if we're concerned, some people are comfortable to talk to the neighbor, to talk to a parent, others are not so comfortable. We are saying, make those calls to us and we can come in and provide some supervision and attention there through counseling support and other training for parents. So we are asking, it's actually I'm in the West this for 2 days because our Western team has been responding almost on a daily basis to these incidents. As a part of the first responders with the police victim services, we have to respond to see if there are other children that are impacted. We respond with the Ministry of Education to the schools to provide counseling support as the case may be, and bereavement and grief counseling if unfortunately we have lost children. So it has been a very traumatic period for our children coming out of COVID.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Mrs. Gage-Grey, because as you say, mishaps happen. And that's been happening since the beginning of time. But why are we hearing it with such frequency? Is it because of COVID? Are our parents now a little bit more distracted because of the challenges they're having? What are some of the things that you're hearing on the ground?
I think it's mixed. We hear about the learning loss and a lot of focus is being placed on that. But what we need to focus on is the mental and psychosocial impact that it has had on our children. They are very aggressive, very irritable, just not coping, getting back together, so that whole resocialization. They over the period, they would have been on different platforms, social media platforms, WhatsApp. And so they would have been communicating that way. And even if there was, some amount of fuss and quarrel, it was online, so it wasn't, like face to face. Now having to come back into this space and to treat with each other, one-on-one, to be in school, sitting down for an extended period of time when you could have been at home, lying down, playing the gadgets, whatever. So I think we have to look at the psychological impact. And I look at it like this, children being locked away for 2 years, technically, especially when we had those years. And they are trying to cope with all the emotions, all the things, we are social beings, we like to play, we like to go out, and especially for the younger children, play is their therapy. And so when you have all of that now being shifted, it's a change for them. How do we get them back into this space? And we have been preparing, but can I tell you, with all the preparation, we have never seen so many incidents. In the West, it's almost daily. Yesterday, we had the one in high school in Westmoreland. So you are seeing, and the type of aggression that is coming forward, it tells us that we have to redouble our efforts to really see how we can help. Mental health is very critical. We are seeing children with multiple disorders, children who are not able to cope, whether through the loss of a parent. When you have a violent death of a parent, we are seeing on average 4 to 5 children being left, plus the others that are impacted by that death. A death in a school, you have the immediate class, but you have the whole school population, and you have the community that those children are coming from. And so our officers have to go to the school to assist with the guidance counselors and the Ministry of Education team. You have to go to the community to see if there are other children in the direct household or otherwise. So it is calling on us, and the social work fraternity has, and the allied services, psychologists or psychiatrists, when it gets really bad, have to all chip in to ensure that our children are safe. But it is, I can tell you, it is very challenging. And talking to the team on the ground, it is really calling for all hands on deck, that we all have to look out for the children.
Mrs. Gage-Grey, but and do you see that helping? So my child gets hurt, you come to my house, or you meet me somewhere or whatever. Your interventions, do you see those helping? Are people more informed when you're finished, and do you see them making an effort to be better parents?
Yes, it's helping. A lot of times when a death happens in a family and you have a 4-year-old, or younger children, people might think that they don't understand. They don't know what the signs are to look out for, that the child is in shock or suffering the trauma as a result of that. And so our officers are trained in play and art therapy, where they can interact with younger children. They do tell parents what to look out for, what signs to look out for. So a bigger child might become withdrawn. You might see the smaller child playing as if they don't know. And we teach them age-appropriate ways to interact with those children and to look out for the signs and to make contact should they have concerns. We also work with victim services, who prepares children for court proceedings or just regular counseling and support that the families get for victims of crimes. And so together as a network with the police, we are working to help the children. So it is working. Okay. As with everything, our efforts have to be redoubled because of the volume and the large amount of cases that are coming to us.
Okay.
I don't know, Mrs. Gage-Grey. I mean, we spoke with the Dispute Resolution Foundation. I mean, everyone seems to be pointing or in agreement that something has to happen for our children, especially coming out of COVID. But what I'm not hearing is, what is that thing going to be? Is there a name for it, a campaign for it, something structured? I know you're doing what's the remit of your agency. They're trying to resolve conflict. But in the meantime, we see incidents like what happened 2 days ago, where the children themselves are endangering each other. What do we do? They're face to face. What are we going to do to stem what's been happening?
I think as a society, we have to really look at how we interact, interpersonal relations. I know the Ministry of Education is looking at character education. How do we teach our children to walk away, and even walking away is a danger to them because the person who is attacking them will still get to them. How do we grapple with the issue that life is precious? You know, that's where it goes back to that, you know, I am still coming to grips with somebody just taking a knife and just putting it into somebody else without thinking. It tells you that there's a mental issue.
Yes.
Because any sane person would not just be doing that, not thinking of consequences. You just give up your whole life, you know. And we talk about it in the general society, but these are the children that we get into care. These are, we get those children and we have to work with them 24 hours. They are angry at everybody. And so our psychologists, our counselors have to be working, and it gets a toll on them as well. So we have to provide support so that when you go to a situation where there's regular abuse, you see regular things that will come to us. But when you see it so violent and vicious, and the anger that is there with the child, you know, we have to work with them. You know, I had a home and we were doing some screening and assessment, and about 60% of the children were on medication for mental health.
Oh, wow.
And so you really have to say that as a society, the level of crime and violence is having a
Toll on our
significant
children.
impact on our children.
We have to
And it
go.
requires services that are going to treat with those.
Them. All right, we have to go.
Yeah, man. Thanks a lot, man. Good to have you with us.
Thank you so much.
Stay safe. God bless you. Big job.
Thank you.
Big job you have. Chief Executive Officer with the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, Mrs. Rosalee Gage-Grey.
Do you know how to manage your emotions? Associate Psychologist Sonia Winter zooms in for that discussion.